Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another vlog. On this one, I want to be covering about why I chose the Yamaha R1M, while at the same time is a video I recorded of me going to Houston to pick up my custom plates. And every time I go to Houston, it's quite a drive away, but I don't know what it is about the city, but it's a vibe down there. I just love the atmosphere. I love the whole lot. And there's a big ass truck here that I had to include in the clips. And anyways, so it was a few months ago, and the Mark 7 GTI, the world record IS-20, ran into the first real issue it's ever had. Now, I've had some issues in the past before with misfires. I've had some issues in the past, and with a few minor things failing. The car by no means was bulletproof, but I've never had anything major occur. Misfires was like the main thing. One time it was due to an O2 sensor, spark plugs, all that shit. Minor stuff, but it can be a pain in the ass to diagnose, especially when nobody really wants to take a look at the car because it's modified. Like, the dealership doesn't want to fuck with it. 99% of fucking car places don't want to fuck with it. You gotta find that special place. And shout out to EA Motorsports. I believe that's what they're called, from Eddie Nunez, whatever. He's a good guy, a good friend. He's taking a look at the car right now. Anyways, the GTI experienced a fracture on the piston. And in other words, the GTI's motor gave out. And I was doing a pull in third gear with a friend in the car. We had just finished our sparring session, and I took him out on the car. And unfortunately, the car did not survive. I had to limp it back home, and I towed it to bar tuning in Houston. Mike told me the car was fucked. Gave me a very low offer for the car. I'm like, I'm not really trying to sell it right now, and fuck it. And so I was left without a daily driver. Now, I had a few options. I could use my girlfriend's car to get about, but that's weird shit. And so, I decided, alright, fuck it, we're gonna invest into another car. And I had no plans to really get another car, and price for price, I'm not gonna get the same performance as the GTI. The GTI was beating Hellcats, it was beating C8 Corvettes, it was beating the top of the line fucking Teslas from that time. It was beating Lamborghini Gallardos. Like, there was nothing I could physically buy similar in price for that kind of performance. I would have to build up another car. And I was thinking about getting a Golf R. I was thinking about building up another Volkswagen. But fuck, I put already so much time and effort into this car, and I don't really want to do that to another car. I don't really want to soup up another car. Because even if I buy a fucking C8, right, which is like 90 grand, it's still not going to be as fast as the fucking GTI, dude. It's still going to have all the nannies. So I'm like, fuck, there's nothing price for price I can buy that's going to be that level of fun. And in high school, I had a friend named Gene. He had a 600cc CBR, and I kind of fucked with his CBR. It was a cool fucking ride, and I learned how to ride a bike from him, and I taught him how to drive a stick shift manual. So I'm like, alright, maybe I should start looking into bikes. Bikes are the only thing, price for price, that are going to be even faster and obtainable. So I started immediately bike hunting, and I already had experiences with dirt bikes and with the 600, and so I wasn't really too worried about it. I know that ultimately I have God on my side, and as long as you're not a complete jackass with it, you should be alright. My dream bike was the S1000RR. I wanted that BMW, the blue one, blue and silver one. There was one color scheme that was just fucking beautiful. By the way, I lane split it right in front of a cop, and he didn't give a fuck. It's actually called lane filtering when it's at a stoplight. Anyways, I was looking in the market for one. They're really rare to find. And I eventually found one that was already pretty souped up. It had an intake, exhaust, it had pipes, it had a GP shifter, and it had frame mounts. It was already where I wanted it to be. But you know, I kind of need something that's not gonna blow up anytime soon. So the fact that it's already souped up with the fucking GP shifter, you kind of already know that thing's been raced and raced hard. It only had 13,000 miles, but I was still gonna bite the bullet. It's the S1000RR. Like, how could you not? So I went to the dealer, and I was gonna buy it right there on the spot. I had the check, and the fucking shifter is broken, dude. They tried to give me some story that some guy came in to test drive the fucking bike and that they broke it because they pressed down too hard. But I wasn't buying none of that bullshit. And to me, that sounded like a whole lot of bullshit. To me, it sounded like sorry, the audio got cut off. It sounded like that bike. Something just didn't feel right. There's no way some dude just came in there and broke the shifter. They're like, oh, we'll replace it right now, we'll fix it right now. I'm like, alright, you do what you gotta do, I'll be back tomorrow. They're like, do you want me to put a payment on it? And I'm like, no, not yet, just I'll come back tomorrow. I decided to keep looking around, and the next day I found this gorgeous Yamaha R1M. With a sexy color scheme, the color scheme that I always wanted, in blue and silver. Very similar to the Skyline from Too Fast, Too Furious. That was like a dream car for a little while, but the true dream car was the M3 GTR from Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. But that's a fully illegal race car, like there's no way you could obtain. And that's actually what I got my custom plates for. I put Need for Speed Most Wanted as my new plates. And they have the blue and silver color scheme. So fuck dude, I'm like living the dream. Anyways, I went to pick up the Yamaha R1M. Only 3,000 miles on it, so it's basically brand new, unridden. It already had an exhaust, it was already tuned, it already had auto blip downshift, it already had frame mounts. You know, it was built with style, but it wasn't overly built. And you know, when you really look at the performance with these 1000 cc bikes, it really does come down to the driver, how skilled they are at knowing the shift points and shifting on point. And the bike, man, I'm telling you, I've raced I think they're called ZX10R, some shit like that. I've beaten them. I raced my buddy's Yamaha R1. He has the newer model. I think it's like 2021 or 22, whatever it may be. And when we did pools together, it wasn't even close. Even he agreed that that this bike is just so much faster. And it obviously comes down to the tune. His bike is stock. And so, you know, I made the right choice in my book. I really enjoy this bike. It's brought me new friends, it's brought me new experiences, and while there's a lot of setbacks or compromises you have to make on a bike, it's worth it. In the end, it really is worth it. You know, one of the major setbacks is the lack of cargo space, man. Like, fuck, dude. Going grocery shopping on this thing is basically not possible. You know, drive-thrus, all that shit is basically not possible. not without having to put some saddle fucking bags or some seat bags, whatever. Because I'm not putting that food in my fucking hard shell backpack. There's no way. And going to the gym can be a bit of a pain in the ass. I use my secondary helmet when doing that, and no gloves, so basically no gear essentially. Because when I get out of the gym, my hair is completely soaked in sweat, and I don't want to get my really expensive RPH 1N helmet wet. I don't want to get that shit drenched in sweat. So the point is, there's a lot of compromises, man, especially in the heat. This summer was 110 degrees. Riding was a fucking nightmare, dude. Even while getting up to speed, the air was beyond hot. I got the case of the zoomies right here. I was having a good time. I just picked up my plates. I felt good. It was a good day. But yeah, overall I felt like I made the right choice. The bike is definitely one of those things that brings me great happiness. And the speed, dude, like I've been in fast cars before. I'd like to think the GTO was really fucking fast, considering it's being Hellcats and C8s, full-blown supercars. But the bike is on a different dimension. Like, it gets up to speed in a way that, fuck, dude, I haven't experienced. It's probably the fastest thing I've ever ridden or driven. And they say never to start off with a 1000cc, but I disagree. I actually would encourage people to start with a 1000. I think as long as you know how to manage the throttle, you could put the bike in rain mode, which makes it drive like a 600, with the pros being that it has really long gears. Like, first gear goes to 100 miles per hour. If you start off on a smaller bike, the gearing, like, fuck, my biggest fear would be the money shift, because I've actually done it before. And you'd have to memorize the gearing, like how fast you should be in this gear and whatnot when downshifting and shit. While with the 600, that isn't an issue, and you essentially already know what gear you should be in, since they're so long. It's very hard to fuck up. Subscribe, like the video. I'll see y'all next time.